Hi guys, and welcome to this other video. So today in this video this video is going to be part 2 of the first video that we did on FSSO. So in the previous video, we talked about FSSO. We show this objective, we describe FSSO, how it works, deployment mode. So we talked about the different deployment modes, DC agent mode, and also the polling mode. We also precise or give the deployment steps on how to deploy FSSO. We also explain some use cases. We describe our lab. So today in this video, we are going to do the setup. So the proper installation of the FSSO agent on our Windows domain controller. So for the previous video, we have the link under this video. So if you need to check the previous video to see the detailed explanation that we gave about the FSSO setup, so just check below on the comment section or the description of this video. You found the link. So today in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to connect to FortiCloud and download the FSSO setup. As we explained in the previous video, we need to download the setup that matches the firmware version of our FortiGate device. So that's the recommendation for deploying FSSO. So we also need to connect on our Active Directory, all the domain controllers that we have on our Active Directory on our infrastructure. We need to connect on these domain controllers and open these ports, these firewall ports, port number TCP and UDP. Also, we do the installation of the FSSO collector agent on the domain controller. Then we will launch the DC agent wizard, then select the polling mode. So we'll be using the polling mode here instead of the DC agent mode. We already explained the difference between the DC agent mode and the polling mode. So after that, we are going to connect on the FortiGate device and add our FSSO collector as an external fabric connector. Then we'll do the overall testing. So let's jump into our Windows server to do the port configuration. So here on our Windows server, so what we need to do to open the port here, we just find a firewall with advanced settings here. Then here what we are going to do is going under inbound rules. So all we need to do here is just create new rules. So from here we select ports, next. Then here all we need to do is to provide the port number that we need to use. So maybe like let's take like 445. So some of the ports are already open by default on your FortiGate on your Active Directory domain controller. But for the ports that are not yet open, you just provide the port number. Then from here, you select either you are allowing the traffic, then profile, you select the profile from which you want to allow the traffic. Don't just provide a name and hit finish. So once the ports are open, now you're going to connect to our FortiCloud to proceed with the deployment of or the download of the SSO agent. We will need to jump to our FortiCloud to download the download the FSSO setup agent. So as I mentioned, you need to connect to FortiCloud with an account that have a support contract, a valid support contract with Fortinet. Otherwise, you will not be able to download this information that we are going to do here. So from your account on the FortiCloud or support.fortinet.com, you go under support, then you click firmware downloads. So if you don't have the support contract as we mentioned, you will not be able to have this information here. From here, you will surely have a note saying that you need a proper account with support contract. So what we do from here on this on this firmware images here, we go under downloads. So under downloads here, we will choose the version of our FortiGate. So we are running, for example, in our environment, we are running a FortiGate v7. So I go on v7. The v7 I'm using actually is 7.0, so I'll go 7.0. Then I'm using the 7.0.10, so I'll select the 7.0.10 here. So on this interface, what I'm choosing here is the FSSO. So I'll click FSSO. Then here I'll have information regarding the DC agent. So this is the agent that you need to install on each domain controller if you have many domain controllers. And here you have the FSSO setup. The FSSO setup here is like a package. It has the FSSO collector agent and the DC agent. So those two elements are bundled in this FSSO setup. So much of the time, what you need to install to download here will mostly be the FSSO setup. So you know that here each file has two file extension, like you have here .exe and .msi, and you also have the 32-bit version and the 64 version here. So you also have the TS agent here for some other environment. So what we are going to download from here is the FSSO setup 64-byte version. So here we just hit on HTTPS and then we'll get the download done. So once the download is done, we copy the file to our environment. So our lab environment is on VMware workstation. So on my VMware workstation here, I have my my lab environment. So this is my Windows server or my domain controller. So from here again, I'm going to connect on my domain controller. Okay, so on my domain controller, I have my FSSO setup that is already on my domain controller. So what I'm going to do here is to run this setup. So I'll double click. So next, so see here, I'm installing the FSSO collector agent. So when you run the setup, the first thing you are installing is the FSSO collector agent. After installing the collector agent, you will be asked if you want to install the DC agent. So I'll say next, agreement, accept, next, keep the same folder, next. Then here I'll need to connect with the domain domain administrator account. So provide the information. So hit next, connect. So here we have like two modes. You have the standard mode, which is the basic or the default setup mode, and you have the advanced mode. So here we are going with the standard mode for now. I'll say next, then I'll say hit install. So the collector is installing. So you see at the end, when the installing the Fortinet SSO collector agent installation is completed, now it will ask, do you want to launch the DC agent? So I'll say yes. I'll hit finish. Then the DC agent installation will launch now. So from here, I need to provide the IP address of this collector. So this collector is on 192.168.2.100. So this is the IP address of this our domain controller, which is now the FSSO agent collector. I need how to say. So I just put this info, say next. So okay, here is the domain that we want to monitor. Next. So as I said earlier, if you want to install, when preparing your Active Directory before installing this, you need to select what are the accounts that you don't want to monitor. So you see it's here, they say please mark the user you do not want to monitor their logon events. So like you don't want to monitor, like let's say for my case, I don't want to monitor this administrator or this guest account. So I just want to monitor this other one. So I'll say next. So here now they are asking, do you want to install the agent on this domain controller, or you want to just go with the polling mode? The polling mode here means that you would like your FortiGate, you would like your collector to send the information directly to your FortiGate, or The DC mode here means that you are your domain controller is sending the information to the collector before the collector is sending it directly to FortiGate. So here we'll stay with the pooling mode. We'll go next. So we'll just hit next and we just wait. Okay. So here, this is the domain controller monitored by the collector agent. Collector agent, because we already installed the collector agent on this domain controller. So all is good. So I can hit finish. So now all is good. The collector agent is installed on this server. So we can come here and click on configure FortiGate. So initially, as I said, there are some port numbers that you need to open. Like on this FSSO, the ports that we usually use on FSSO are, as I said, 8000, 8001, 8002, and 8003. So from here, I also said you need to configure a password so that you can secure communication between this collector and the FortiGate device. So the password that you are creating is here. This is where you create the password. So the same password that I'm creating here, we need to use this password when we are on the FortiGate. So here, I'll provide this as password. Okay, so I'll say save and close. We just wait a few seconds and okay, all is good. So now let's jump on our FortiGate firewall. So here, let me connect. Okay, so here we are on our FortiGate firewall. So let's check, like, if we have not yet configured the FSSO on our FortiGate device. Let's check, like, when we are defining firewall policies. If you say, like, you want to create a new firewall policies under source, if you hit under source here, you will see that what you can select as a source is either an IP address for users, or you can select the users that are actually local users to this FortiGate device. You don't have any information about the users of your Active Directory infrastructure. So this is one of the benefits, or one of the advantages of including FSSO. Why we finish after including the FSSO here, we will be able to choose user accounts, our Active Directory user account, directly from here. So to add our FSSO agent, what we need to do is to go under security fabric. Then here we will take external connector. So from here, what we need to do is to do create new, and what we are taking here is SSO agent on Windows Active Directory. So I'll select this. So from here, I will say, I'll just call this FSSO collector. Then the IP address is going to be the IP address of our FSSO collector, which is our Windows server on which we install the FSSO agent. So the IP was 192.168.2.100. And here we need to provide that password that we created on our FSSO agent after installing. So the password that will be used for secure communication between this FortiGate device and the FSSO collector we installed. So here, provide the password. So all we need to do from here is below here to hit on apply and refresh. So I'll provide the same password here, then I hit apply and refresh. So normally, as I said, from here you can see that we have already retrieved 49 information, or let's call it users and group, from our Active Directory. So as you can see here, it mentioned as connected. It means that this our SSO agent on Windows Active Directory is working fine now. So what we can do here is we will go on our Windows server. So from here, we will launch again this FortiGate, or yeah. So from here, what we are going to do is we are going to look at show service status. So service status show here as running. So you can see that the service here is running. So here you show like monitor DC. So the monitor domain controllers, this is the monitor domain controller for now. Here you can select like filter the groups for which you want to monitor. You want the monitoring settings to be sent to FortiGate. Like, let's say you have your infrastructure with 3 domain controllers, you have multiple organization units, multiple groups, but you need just some 2 or 3 particular groups to be monitored on the FortiGate device. So rather than letting all your infra resources being monitored by the FortiGate, you just come here and specify the groups for which you want monitoring. Doing so will let your FSSO collector to have less work to do than doing it for all the entire Active Directory domain or users and computers. So also here you can also add the selected ignore the accounts that you do not want to monitor. So while installing, we could select these 3 accounts, but from here you can also add any new account that you don't want to monitor the activity. So you just enter the login here or the username here, then you just hit add. So from here you can also select here what are the monitored domain. If you had like multiple subdomains, all the subdomains will be here. So that is it. So I can also show logon users. So for now we don't have any user which is actually logged on to our Active Directory. So what we are going to try now is to check. You go now on our on our Windows 10. As I said, this is another computer that is domain join. So from here I'm going to connect with one of our domain users. I think domain user is michael.brown. Let me see if this works. Michael.brown. Okay, password, hit enter. Okay, so Michael Brown is getting connected. Okay, so as Michael Brown is getting connected, let's go and check on our FortiGate. Let's go and check on our Windows server to see if there will be any information. Yeah, so when I hit refresh, so from here we have information about our Michael Brown that is actually connected to our domain, and the session or the information is already being logged and pushed to FortiGate device. So now let's jump also on our FortiGate device this time, and we can check also under policy and objects. So now let's try again to create a firewall policy, and let's see what is available as source information. So here under source, so here under users, you see now I have information about our Active Directory users and computers. No, Active Directory users and group, sorry. So it means that here now you can define a firewall policy not only based on IP addresses, but also based on a user or a user group. This is more specific and will help to get more granular information about users activities, and you can also use this to control users activities on your infra. Like you can use this to provide like to block internet access to some users, to provide social media access to some users, provide access to some servers to some users. So you have a more granular control with this FSSO and the AD users integrated on your FortiGate device. So guys, this is the end of this video. I hope this was useful. Let's meet in another video.